Hi everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead, and hey, Happy New Year! Well, it is raining like crazy today, and so I thought that it would be a great day to do some cooking with you guys. It is January 1st, 2022, but it's also the start of a challenge. It's called a Pantry Challenge. Now, my friend Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead, she is the same wonderful woman who over the summer challenged us to do tons of preserving in the month of August, actually preserving every single day in the month of August. That challenge was called the Every Bit Counts Challenge, but she puts on a challenge in January, a pantry challenge, where those of us who have stocked our shelves, stocked our freezers with the things that we've grown in our garden, the meat that we have grown and preserved over the year, and those of us who buy in bulk, she has challenged us to do no grocery shopping in the month of January. She's actually so good at this challenge that she also extends the challenge for herself and challenges others to also do this in the month of February. Now, I'm not sure if I could do 2 months of this, but you guys, I am going to make an effort to do this in the month of January. Now, I want to clarify that the rules for this pantry challenge are that you make up your own rules, because not everybody can go an entire month without buying any groceries from the grocery store. I mean, we are very blessed that we have a milk cow, so I don't need to go to the grocery store for many dairy things. But you guys, I'm not a master at hard cheeses like cheddar. And because we're from Wisconsin, we love cheddar cheese. We love cheese all together. So I may have to cheat and go to the grocery store for hard cheeses. But also, Kevin and I are eating a salad for lunch every single day. Well, almost every single day. And while we have lettuces and lots of things growing in our greenhouse, there are some things that we don't have that we just love on our salads, like carrots. I didn't grow enough carrots. Green onions. I didn't grow any green onions. So because we really love those on our salads, I will be having a very, very small grocery budget for the month of January to just get some necessities that we can't produce on our homestead right now or didn't produce enough of in the previous months to cover January. So the exciting thing is that there will be a couple, I think I'm planning at least 2 videos in the month of January where I am going to be cooking pantry meals and sharing those recipes with you guys. So today I'm going to be doing 3 recipes, 2 meal recipes and a dessert. Now, I'm just not the only one that is doing videos about this challenge, and there are lots of people that are doing every single day Instagram posts of what they're making for their family using pretty much all the stuff that they have in their pantry, in their freezer, in their root cellars, in their storage. And so if you want some major inspiration, make sure that you are following hashtag 3 Rivers Challenge on Instagram. And you can also search hashtag 3 Rivers Challenge on YouTube and find tons of things going on for this year. So our first recipe is going to be for dinner tonight. It is a savory butternut squash casserole. It's an original recipe that I came up with based on some of our favorite foods of the family. It's really not difficult, and I'm excited to share with you all the different components that we're going to use to make this awesome casserole. The first thing that we need to do is to roast our butternut squash. Now, these are squash that we grew in our garden. It's called a Canada crookneck squash. It's a butternut type squash, and I think we'll only need 1. I am going to take a tip from my friend Ruth Ann Zimmerman, and I'm just going to roast the entire thing whole just like this. I'm not going to cut it up. I'm not going to take the seeds out yet. I'm not going to peel the skin off of it yet. We're just going to throw it in the oven just like this. Now, I do have it on a baking pan in case it, leaks or something like that. It doesn't make a big mess in the bottom of the oven. But we're just going to put this in the oven on 350 for about an hour or until it is soft. While the squash is baking, we are going to move on to another layer of the casserole. We're going to be using a layer of Italian brown rice. Now, I love this recipe. It is way better than any like pre-seasoned box rice mix that you can buy from the grocery store. It's super inexpensive. You guys, it's so easy. Don't be intimidated by this. I'm using brown rice, whole grain brown rice. I buy it in bulk from Azure Standard, and I buy it in 25-pound bags. And when I bring them home, I put them in 5-gallon buckets like this with a gamma lid on top, which keeps out any bugs, it keeps out the humidity, just keeps them really nice for quite a long time. I'm gonna start off using 2 cups of the brown rice. Now, I think brown rice can be tricky to make, and we have found a way in our family that works well every single time, and that is on the stovetop, kind of like you're making pasta. So I'm actually going to rinse this out a couple times and then fill it with water and put it on the stovetop. Now that it is all rinsed, I'm going to put it on the stovetop. And we're gonna bring the water to a boil. Now, like I said, I'm gonna be cooking this more like pasta than maybe the way that you have cooked rice in the past. A third layer that we're gonna be getting going simultaneously is a layer of diced turkey with some gravy. Now, in a video not too long ago, I canned our leftover Thanksgiving turkey in some water, which created a broth, and we're gonna use 1 pint of that. Now, I get lots of questions of this jar, about this jar opener that I'm going to be using, which is called a pry-a-lid. It's actually kind of a vintage can opener for jars, that like home canned jars. It opens the jar lids without denting or bending that. You can't get these commercially anymore, but I've heard that you can find people reselling them on eBay. So if that's what you're looking for, go ahead and check that out. So we're going to open this up. I'm just gonna dump this entire pint into a saucepan with the liquid, with the broth. And while it's still cold, before I start heating it, I'm gonna just mix in 1 tablespoon of organic cornstarch. Because at this point, with it being cold, it won't like clump up, okay? I'm gonna mix that together. And I'm going to heat this up until it's boiling, and it will make kind of a medium textured gravy, and that's what I'm looking for. We'll set the turkey aside for now because that's done. The rice has come up to a full rolling boil, so I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. I still do want it boiling. We're gonna let it boil like this for 25 minutes. The rice is done, so I'm just gonna pour it into a colander to drain out all the water, just like you would for pasta. Put it back into the pot. And so now we're just gonna cover the pot of rice, just let it sit there and steam for 5 minutes. Well, the squash got done. I took that out and it is cooling right now. The rice has sat long enough, and now we can fluff the rice, and then we're going to mix in our seasonings and turn this into the most wonderful Italian rice. To this wonderful brown rice, we are going to be adding 1 teaspoon of garlic powder or granulated garlic. I buy all of these herbs and spices from Azure Standard. 1 teaspoon of salt. I am using pink Himalayan salt. 1 tablespoon of oregano. 1 tablespoon of dried thyme. 1 tablespoon of dried basil. And then 1/4 cup of melted butter. I'm going to just fold this into this rice. Okay, let's start constructing our casserole here. I think that the squash is cool enough to handle. It's still actually pretty hot, but I'll be careful. I have a small square casserole dish here that I used our homemade butter from here to grease the pan so that it won't stick. The first layer on the bottom of the pan is going to be smashed butternut squash. So I'm going to take some of this out of the skin and put it on the bottom layer of here and just smash it with a fork. This is all of the squash from the oven. And I'm just taking my fork and kind of smashing it down into an even layer on the bottom of this casserole dish. And then I'm going to add a layer of this Italian rice. Not too thick, but we definitely want enough. That is all the rice that we need. It's probably, you know, a ½ inch or so layer of it. And now I'm just going to put all of this turkey and gravy that we heated up and thickened up on top of the stove. I'm going to put that as a top layer. Spread that around evenly. Okay, the last layer is just a layer of amazing shredded sharp cheddar cheese. I don't know how much, just however much it takes to cover the top. I have the oven preheating to 350 degrees. As soon as we get this cheese on there, we'll pop this in the oven. And because everything is pre-cooked, we just really need to heat it up and make sure it's warm enough to eat and that the cheese is all melty and wonderful on top. I'm not sure how long that's going to take. We'll have to see. The casserole is finished. It's been 25 minutes on 350 degrees. We're going to take that out. It's bubbly, it's melted, it looks fantastic, but it is too hot to eat. Well, while we're waiting for the casserole to cool down for dinner, let's get the dessert going. We're actually going to make blackberry pie using blackberries that we foraged from our property and I canned in a medium syrup. Now, this isn't pie filling. I didn't can blackberry pie filling, but we're going to turn it into pie filling, and it's super, super easy. Now, before we go forward, there's one thing that I want to tell you, and it is that if you're a homesteader or if you like to cook, that doesn't mean that every single thing that you make has to be homemade. Now, I love making everything homemade. Sometimes I don't have the energy to make everything homemade, and to fall back on some conveniences sometimes is a really wonderful thing. Today, I am not going to make homemade pie crust. I do have 2 videos of 2 separate homemade pie crusts that I love to make, but sometimes I just don't want to do that, and today's one of those. I came upon a really great sale over the holiday season and got some pie crusts on sale. And so I put a couple boxes of them in the freezer. And because this is a pantry freezer bulk challenge, today I'm going to use store-bought pie crust. Not shame on me and not shame on you if sometimes you don't make everything homemade. Okay, so we are going to get started turning just this regular canned blackberries into blackberry pie filling. Super easy. I'm using 2 pints, which is the equivalent of 1 quart. Using the pry lid, I'm going to put the berries and the syrup in a pot. And I've also done this with canned blueberries, and it was also fantastic. Now, depending on how much sugar you put into your canning syrup will determine whether or not you need to add any sugar at all. If you can with heavy syrup, you may not need to add any sugar. If you can in a light or an extra light syrup, you may need to add some. But I'm just going to quickly taste the syrup on here to determine if I need to add any sugar. You know what? I think it's pretty good. What I am gonna add though is some cornstarch. This is organic non-GMO cornstarch, and I am going to add 3 tablespoons, but you could probably add just 2. And because my fruit and the syrup is cold right now, I don't have to worry about it clumping up. So I'm just gonna mix this in with the cold fruit and the juice, the syrup mix, until it's completely combined and that there aren't any chunks or anything. And we're gonna put this on the stovetop and warm it up. Okay, our blackberry pie filling is finished. We just need to put on our bottom crust, fill it with the pie filling, and then put on the top of the pie crust and put it in the oven. And we're gonna put this pie in our oven. I have this at 400 degrees. We'll see how long it takes for it to get browned. Well, the pie is done and it looks fantastic. Dinner has cooled down enough for us to eat, so let's serve dinner. Well, I'm so glad that it's time to serve dinner because this casserole looks fantastic. I'm gonna cut a piece, put it on the plate to show you how beautiful it is. Look at how beautiful that is. You have a nice layer of the squash on the bottom, the flavorful rice, the wonderful turkey with the gravy that kind of went down there into that rice. It is amazing. I'm gonna take a quick bite before the whole crew comes in. It's so good. You guys, I hope you try it. Now, the ideas are not over with yet. After dinner, I'm gonna come back and we're gonna prepare a recipe for tomorrow. Okay, guys, dinner was fantastic. Now let's move on. Tomorrow, we have a busy day and I would like to get dinner going early in the crock pot so I don't have to worry about it. And at dinner time, I can basically just serve. So this next pantry meal is going to be split pea soup in the crock pot. We have always split peas on the homestead. I do buy these in bulk from Azure. I also have an awesome ham bone left over from Christmas dinner and just the perfect amount of diced ham left over to go into the soup. Now I want to share with you one of the cookbooks that I absolutely love. It is the Taste of Home Soups book. It has 380 soup recipes. I got this from one of the girls maybe 4 or 5 years ago and I use it all the time Taste of Home is actually my favorite recipe website, and that's where I have all like my saved online recipes. I'm not affiliated with them. I just really love Taste of Home recipes. I've actually been published 2 of my recipes in one of them in their magazine and one of them in one of their books, kind of like this, but a different book. Anyway, so I will put this in our Amazon shop if you want to take a look at it. So we're going to get started preparing split pea soup from in this cookbook that will cook all day long tomorrow. Well, recipes like this, I always like to start with the veggies that need to be chopped. So we're going to be chopping some onions, some carrot, and some celery. This recipe calls for 2 cups of chopped onion, 2 cups of chopped carrot. I actually don't like the taste of cooked carrot, so I'm only going to put in 1 large carrot chopped up. 2 cups of chopped celery. The recipe calls for 1 package or 1 pound of split green peas, but Kevin really likes split pea soup a lot thicker than this recipe makes it. So I'm actually going to be using 1.5 pounds of split peas. I'm just going to weigh those out on a scale. Put that right in here. We're going to add 2 bay leaves. I've also gotten these in bulk from Azure, so I'm going to pick out 2 really nice bay leaves. I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper. The recipe doesn't call for ham, but I'm just improvising a little bit in this recipe. I'm adding 2 cups of diced ham. I'm going to add 2 quarts of water. This is a 1/2 gallon. The recipe calls for chicken broth, but I'm low on chicken broth, and because we're going to be adding the ham and the ham bone, I think that's going to be enough flavor, so I don't have to worry about not adding the broth. I'm going to mix this up before I put the ham bone in. And we don't need to add any salt into this recipe, at least right away for sure, because the ham itself is quite salty. That beautiful ham bone left over, we're going to put that right on top, squish it down in there a little bit, so hopefully it's pretty much covered up by the liquid. And now this will sit in the refrigerator. The split peas will start kind of soaking up some of that liquid even without any heat. And in the morning, we'll be able to pull this out, put it right in the crock pot, go about my day, not worrying about dinner, and we can come back when it's completely ready to eat. So let's put this in the fridge, but I'm not gonna leave you hanging with the pie. Kevin just brought some cream home from the farm. We're gonna make some amazing whipped cream, and we're gonna try our homemade blackberry pie. Okay, it's finally time to dig into this amazing blackberry pie. I'm gonna cut a slice and I'm gonna put some whipped cream on there, and I just wanna show you guys probably the most amazing Christmas gift that I got from Kevin this year. It's like just a whipped cream dispenser that I can use with our very own cream from our cow. My friend Kate from Venison for Dinner YouTube channel and Instagram, she has one just like this, and I showed it to Kevin, and he was amazing and got me one for Christmas, so I'm excited to show you how it works. I'm gonna put a link to this in our Amazon shop too in case you guys are interested, but let's take a piece of pie and put some amazing whipped cream on top. Okay, let's take a piece of this pie. I can't wait to try it. Let's give it some whipped cream. I think I need a little more than that. Well, you guys, I can barely even stand it any longer. I gotta try this pie. Wow. It is so good. what an awesome trick to be able to turn your canned fruit into pie filling. Super easy. I hope you give it a try. Now tomorrow morning, we'll put that split pea soup in the crock pot, and I'll make sure to show you how amazing it looks for dinner. Well, this is number 3 of the recipes that I shared with you for my pantry challenge video. I'm really hoping to do at least one more of these in January, so look forward to that. But let me try this. It's super hot. Oh, it's so good. Split pea soup is so comforting in the winter. Kevin made some wonderful homemade crackers to go along with the soup for dinner tonight. I can't be more excited for dinner. You guys, I want to remind you that this is all part of the 3 Rivers Challenge, the Pantry Challenge. Make sure that you check out Jessica and her YouTube channel, 3 Rivers Homestead. I'm going to put a link here to her video that kind of describes this challenge. I encourage you all to participate in some kind of way and really challenge yourselves to use what you have in the house and take a month off of groceries as much as you can. If you're enjoying our videos, make sure that you hit the subscribe button below, and also the best way that you can help us here on the Homestead is just to share our videos on your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.